Great. Hello, everyone. We are so excited that you took the time out of your day to be here with us, to join us in this early intervention week, a virtual event. My name is Karen Loaiza. I am the Family Support Coordinator for Family Link Regional Early Intervention Collaborative. My counterparts are here as well, Karen Armas and Laura Washington. I'm sure many of you and our other counterpart, Nicole Bragnon, she's not here with us right now. She's doing an in-person event, but you will see her in the next virtual event. So I'm sure you have received many emails from us lately about the information of Early Intervention Week. So before I jump in, I just wanted to let you know that this presentation is being recorded and that all the recording links and resources for the will be emailed to the families and to anyone that register the week after when we're done with early intervention week. So I am quickly just going to give you a little background information about what is early intervention and why we celebrate it. So early intervention week is celebrated every year, typically during the third week of May. It was created to recognize all the amazing caregivers of children in early intervention, as well as the dedicated professionals in the field. So the children, the caregivers, the early intervention professional work so hard and to support each other to help the child grow and develop. And we want to make sure that we celebrate all of you during this week and make you feel seen, heard, and just know that we are a team to support you throughout your time with early intervention. So this year, our theme is building blocks for bright future, start strong and thrive together. So this theme really embodies our commitment for laying down the essential foundations for providing the future success for your children. We believe in starting early and providing the necessary support and resources to ensure that your child has the opportunity to thrive. Throughout our endless collaboration and partnership with families, with caregivers, with the community, we build a solid foundation to help your child grow and learn to their full potential. So joining us here, our speaker of today will give you an insight into the world of virtual early intervention services, the techniques, the approaches for virtual services, along with the family testimonies. So without further ado, I am excited to introduce to you Natalie Hagbart. Natalie is a New Jersey state licensed speech language pathologist, a speech language specialist, and the owner of Playdate Speech Therapy. She
Play
has
all
Sorry, play all therapy. I'm sorry, my apology.
No worries.
She has over 10 years of experience providing play and routine-based speech therapy services to young children and their families using a parenting coach and training models. She's passionate about all children receiving effective and equal early intervention services, regardless whether they do it in person or virtually. So, Natalie, if you want to take over, I'm happy.
All right. Hello, hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? How are you today? As my families that I work with know, this is how I start every in-person or virtual session. Sometimes we have to wake it up, right? We have to wake everyone up and make sure everyone's listening. So, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Karen. How is everyone doing today? And can you tell me a little bit about what brings you here today? Who are you and what are you trying to learn today? Parent, are you a service coordinator? Are you a speech therapist? Who's here today? If you guys could write in the chat, that would be so great.
Linda, I know you raised your hand. If you want to go ahead.
Awesome, Linda.
That
Linda.
was an error, but
Ah,
I am Linda and I am here. I'm a service coordinator.
thank you, Linda. I'm sure we have a lot of parents.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide too, Karen.
Perfect.
DI, SLP, DI. This is great.
Mhm. Professionals, occupational therapists.
OTs, parents. Thank you, Camille. So great. So soon.
Deborah says speech language pathology, working solely using virtual intervention. Oh, love it.
Awesome.
Guy, agent. Thank you everyone who's participating. Anna said, I am a family engagement specialist from Rocker, Southern Region.
Awesome.
Great. I am an intake service
Good.
coordinator.
Service coordinators. I'm so glad to see you here too, because this is tailored towards parents, professionals, anyone, involved in early intervention or that kind of plays a role in impacting the services that we provide. So this is so great to see. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone.
Hi.
Awesome.
Hello. Yes.
All right, those can keep coming in. I'm going to keep looking at them, okay? So, a little bit about me. I mean, Karen said, a lot about me. I am an early intervention language pathologist. I have a private practice called Play All Day Speech Therapy LLC. I'm an independent contractor. I'm a casual employee of the ARC of Essex County who has, really been supporting me in my virtual teletherapy journey. So I'm very, very excited about that. And feel free if anyone wants to email me or, just look up any other information. I have my website and my email address on this slide. So feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions or comments or concerns. Okay, let's go next. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what is this telepractice? First of all, it has many names that we've probably heard. Virtual services, teletherapy, telerehab. So they all mean the same thing. It's basically when services are delivered with telecommunication or internet technology, you can get to clinicians, clinicians can get to clients, and it can really range between a lot of different health services. So, what does early intervention use? Well, we offer developmental intervention, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy, all in person and via telehealth. So, we use what's called asynchronous technology, which means it's real time. So, Zoom, right? Right now, we're looking at each other. You can hear me, you can see me, and it's all live stream. So, you can continue. All right, guys, is telepractice something new? No, it has been around for almost 2 decades, but in other states. So in states, where it's very rural, they don't have a lot of therapists. They've been doing this for so long, like so long. In New Jersey, it was really new because of the pandemic. So other states have been using it forever. They've perfected it versus New Jersey. We're late to the party. So, what do we need to make this successful? Right. So it says here, ASHA introduced it really as an appropriate mode of services in 2005. It's 2024. So, what do we need? Families and the EI practitioners, we need a HIPAA compliant platform. I'm very lucky, the ARC of Essex County provides me with a paid version of Zoom so I can see my virtual clients through them on a HIPAA compliant platform. We need really good, Wi-Fi and internet service. If you're breaking up all the time or if it's fuzzy, it makes it a lot harder for sure. Practitioners, desktop computer, laptop computer, like connecting from your phone is really a lot harder. I even have a laptop here, and then I have a larger screen, which makes it easier for me to type my notes and to do point of service so my notes are more accurate. Families can absolutely use a tablet, a laptop, or a smartphone. I actually encourage my families to use a smartphone mostly or a tablet mostly because they can move around the house easier. They can go outside, connect from a playground, anywhere and everything. And then, of course, a power cord because we're all human and we don't, have our things charged to full battery all the time. So having that nearby or making sure that it is charged before the session always helps too. Next. All right, let's talk about some myths. What are some common misconceptions that we hear all the time? I thought of these just off the top of my head. So if anyone has heard any other ones, please, please, please type it into the chat and I'll have to add it and talk about it because I've heard everything. So one good one is teletherapy is used as the last resort during emergency situations. But in reality, like I said before, it's been around for a really long time, just not as much in New Jersey because we're so densely populated and we've never really needed it before. Another good one is this is very impersonal. My child isn't gonna, engage with you. What are they gonna just play games and watch videos with you? No way. We're early intervention, guys. We don't use video games. We don't use watching videos. It's all about us getting to know the child, getting to know the family. What are your routines like, your interests, your culture? We use all of that. It is not really anything media. Another good one is how is this going to work for a, neurodivergent kid? This is really only for neurotypical children who have delays. Also, the reality is that obviously there's considerations to make and we might have to tailor our strategies and our goals, but research shows that teletherapy really can serve a wide variety of children and families from all walks of life with all different diagnoses. Oh, this is the best one. In-person early intervention is more effective than virtual. Well, as we're going to see later, a lot of research has been done on this topic in the last even 5 to 6 years. One of my studies from 2024 from this year shows that it leads to equal progress and that for some services like speech therapy, virtual led to better gains than in person. So that's really, really interesting. Another good one is it's only effective for older children who can sit in front of the screen the whole time. Okay, I get where this one comes from. A lot of the times with virtual services for school age children, yes, they are supposed to sit in front of the screen. It's usually 20 to 30 minutes. But in the early intervention population, we don't do that. There's no high chairs. There's no kid sitting in front of the screen for an hour. It is about family practitioner collaboration and it's about moving, it's about doing what the family is interested in. And really, we should not be having kids with the expectation of sitting in front of the screen. A neurotypical 4-year-old wouldn't be able to sit in front of the screen for an hour. So that's kind of an expectation and a myth and misconception I definitely want to address. Oh, I hear this one too. I'd rather wait and see if my child's language improves before accepting teletherapy. This one hurts my soul a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Because as we know, with neuroplasticity in the brain, like 80% of the child's brain is fully developed by the time they're 5. So, that said, birth to 3 especially is when those neurons are firing and they're making all these connections. And if we wait and we don't address it, what's going to happen? It's not to say kids can't learn after they're 5, but we're missing that critical period of them being able to make these connections and gather this information about, their environment and the people around them. And we're missing out on that with all the parents who are really waiting, for in-person services. So that's kind of, another thing I want to talk about today. We can go to the next. All right, here's some more. We're trying to decrease screen time. My child already watches Miss Rachel. Who's heard this one? How is teletherapy any different? Well, here's what I have to say about that. Miss Rachel has great intentions. I have seen worse screen time. 100% have seen worse screen time than Miss Rachel, but she's not an SLP. And one of the major things to think about is that kids younger than 2, they need hands-on exploration. They need real life interactions with people in their environment. And no matter what, even if the screen time is better than other forms of screen time, it's still not that natural interaction that kids need in order to learn. They don't really have the memory and attentional skills, and they have immature kind of symbolic and they can't really learn as well from a screen as they can from a person. So that's one of the things, I have to talk a lot with parents about is that, first of all, this isn't considered screen time. This is pro-social. This is something that the American Academy of Pediatrics excludes. from their recommendations for screen time. So anything that's video chatting, whether it's FaceTime with a family member or it's services through virtual telehealth, this is okay according to the American Academy of Pediatric versus Miss Rachel is considered towards screen time recommendations. And they're really, less than an hour a day for kids under 5. And for kids under 18 months, they're recommending no screen time at all, with the exception of video chatting. Oh, I hear this one too. I don't have the right toys and activities. The therapist should bring toys and, have my child play with the new toys. Oof. So, EI is family coaching and training. We should not be bringing toys into the house, not only because of, the COVID-19 crisis and with germs and illnesses and things like that, but also because if I bring a bag of toys into your house, and I take them and I leave, what do you have to practice with? And that's another issue I see happening a lot with early intervention in person, which is potentially why the research is showing that virtual is working just as well, or in some situations even better, is because the parents are using what they have. They're getting hands-on experience with the strategies that, DI and OT and PT and speech are all showing them. And the more the parent gets hand-on experience, the more they're going to learn. So we shouldn't be bringing in our own toys. We should be using what the family has. Let's see. You're the professional. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to know what to do? That's why we're here. We're all here to teach you. So all of the virtual, telehealth practitioners, what I tell parents is I'm here once a week. My job is to teach you to be the speech therapist when I'm not around, because I have 1 hour a week with your child. Think about how many hours a week you have. You are going to be your child's best teacher. You're your child's first teacher. I'm here as a support. So, that's usually what I tell parents is I'm here to just help you build these positive relationships to help your child progress in the areas of development that are my area of specialty. And the rest is really, we're a team, we're working together. This is a judge-free zone. Ask questions, make mistakes, be goofy, and we're all in this together. It takes a village. There's no way virtual EI services would work for my family. My child has siblings and no one to watch them during the session. Include the siblings. This is one of the best things. Okay, so if I have a 2-year-old that I'm working with and they have a 4-year-old sister, are they going to imitate me the most or mom the most or their 4-year-old sister? 4-year-old sister. So usually what I do is some sort of modified coaching and with the younger or with the older sibling or with the parent to show them how to incorporate the sibling into the session in a way that makes the sibling feel good about being helpful. Kids love to be helpful. And then also making them know that, it's not about just me working with them with the one child. If the other child is in the house all the time too, we have to include the siblings. They offer such a great opportunity for growth and for building those positive relationships. Another good one too is my child will misbehave and not participate. So this one is it's one of those tough ones because a lot of parents are afraid to let me see, what they're dealing with. And I would say DI, deals with this too a lot, occupational therapy because of sensory processing issues, physical therapy, sometimes because of like work avoidant, they don't want to do something that's hard. So that's what we're here for. The EI practitioners, we are here to help manage and see the challenging behaviors. Sometimes when I'm in person, I don't see these challenging behaviors, but I do virtually because they're in their natural environment, they're feeling good, they're feeling, comfortable. And then I actually get to see it in real time. And that's how I can help. Why don't you try this? Instead of him slapping you, let him touch you on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, mommy," and then turn to him. So, if we're able to see these things happening in a very natural environment, we could do something about it. Let's go next. Okay, some things to consider. So we are all growing and getting older, and medical advances are really letting us get to, longer living. We're living a lot longer. It's going to be more demands on health and rehabilitation services. And, there's a prediction that there's going to be a shortage of, I found, for speech therapists, but I'm sure for other disciplines as well. And, individuals with disabilities need rehabilitation specialists. So what's so great about telehealth is that with this, technology, it really is an effective solution to kind of help us, address this challenge. And time of intervention, especially for EI, like I was saying before, it's really, really important for kids to get timely services between birth and 5, but especially birth and 3. For kids who don't receive services before that age, of course, we're still going to see progress, but it's not going to be as rapid or as meaningful as it's going to be if we get in today to talk about who's been with me hybrid, in person and virtual, who's been with me just virtually, because I want everyone to be able to ask questions, share their experience, and really kind of bust some of these myths that are going on that it's a lesser form of therapy when it's not. Continue. Okay, let's talk about some benefits of teletherapy and EI. So, increased accessibility. So, if you live in a remote area, so I live with grandma, and grandma has autoimmune conditions and immunocompromised. She's, got like health issues going on. If I'm going from house to house to house every day and then bringing potentially germs there, that's not okay. And that's one of the other reasons why we need to be bagless all the time. So virtual therapy could really save someone's life if they have an, compromised immune system. We all have large scopes of practice. I know personally in speech, we could do dysphagia swallowing therapy. I could work with the geriatric population. I could work with birth to 3. I could work with young adults on the spectrum. There's so much that we can do that teletherapy really allows you to get matched with someone who's an expert in what your family and your child needs. If I'm working with a child who we're trying to introduce, let's say AAC, some sort of alternative, communication device, not every speech therapist in that, area has experience with that, but I do. So I could be matched with someone like one of my families from Bayonne. He's apraxic and he was nonverbal when we started. I've seen him virtually. So that's one of the things where, imagine if that family didn't get matched with me, or they didn't, they waited for services. Think about where he would be right now versus where he's at. Convenience is another one. Flexible scheduling. If someone has a doctor's appointment and they let me know in advance, all right, let me move you somewhere else. I don't have to worry about if you're close geographically to the person I need to switch you with, because I don't want to be driving all around all day. So when you have that flexibility of scheduling, it makes it a lot easier for the practitioners, and it makes it a lot easier for the families. Another one I hear a lot too when I go to in person, they're like, oh my God, my house is a mess. I don't know if we can do today. My house is like a disaster. And I try to tell them mine is too. But also, that's another way when we meet virtually, they're not as nervous about that. Point of service, like I was telling you before, what is that? So when therapists, this is for the parents out there. So when therapists have a session with you, we're supposed to be doing point of service, which means we take notes as we go along, and then we're supposed to be putting it in the system before we leave your house and have you sign and, things like that. I can do that right from here. It's no extra work for me. It makes my notes more accurate. I can capture exactly what the child did, what was my strategy for this activity, and then I send it to you later on, and it's as accurate as it could be because I was doing it right then, not 3 days later. Um, let's see. Another good one is connection. So let's say normally, oh, we need to go to grandma's house. She lives in Lodi. I'm not going to drive to Lodi. It's too far. But can you connect from grandma's house if it's okay with the family? Yeah, it's still in New Jersey. I'm certified, state licensed in New Jersey. You can connect from, let's see, land of make believe if you wanted to. I'm not going to drive there, but if you want to connect from there and you want to work on some vocab with me or for PT, walking and jumping and climbing or OT, some of the fine motor or sensory availability things there, you can with virtual. That's why it's so cool. Consistency is another one. So, snowstorms. My car broke down. We have the sniffles, but no fever, but you'll probably catch it if you come here. This happens a lot. So, what teletherapy allows for is consistency of services because if a kid is feeling up for it, I'm still going to have the session. Obviously, if they have a fever and they're not feeling well, no, we're not going to have the session. We can move it to later in the week. But am I going to go there in person if you're, showing signs of illness that I could catch? No, I can't because I go to so many other people's houses and that's not fair. That's not fair to the other families. So it allows for, if there's a snowstorm or, as long as you have internet and as long as the family is feeling up for it, you can connect and it really allows for so much more consistency. Zoom, I know, sends like automatic reminders too. So I know that's a lot of work sometimes for the practitioners is kind of like, okay, I have to send a text or I like to send texts. I feel like people send them or read them more regularly. But, those reminders, it's a lot easier to schedule, easier to remind the family of the session. So I have so many like less cancellations now than I did when I was only in person. Yeah, and everyone's comfortable. If I'm not there, if, I'm not in your house, I feel like people are more willing sometimes to open up to you or, they're more comfortable in their natural environment. I'm in my natural environment, that's a painting I made. So it kind of allows for a little bit more connection without the fear of judgment or the fear of what's this person going to think of my carpet is dirty. Like, who cares? So it's kind of, it makes it a little bit more of a comfortable environment. And then one of the really good ones is cost effective. I know personally when I was driving to every session, it was a lot of car maintenance, a lot of tolls, a lot of gas, I had to schedule clients. Okay, this kid is 15 minutes or 20 minutes from this kid. Like it really is hard to see as many clients as you want to, or as even the state needs you to. Health, so many more kids will be seen, and then the wait lists really will, I feel like, diminish. That we won't have that issue as much. And if we can see more clients, that means that, we'll also be able to improve our income. And then the state also will, be able, the agencies and everyone will be able to have benefits from that. Okay, next. All right, so where do we begin with all of this? A lot of practitioners have reached out to me and they're like, how do you even start this? What do you do? So first of all, you have to get to know one another. A lot of the times, the first session I have is not about, okay, let's just jump into playing. Because I need to know your medical history. What have you guys been through? What's your journey so far? Who have you seen? And a lot of this, yes, it's on the IFSP so that, the initial evaluation, but some of these kids don't start until 2 months or so after the initial evaluation. What's changed since then? Anything, new going on? Get to know me. What are my specialties? What are you guys dealing with? So that's really the EI practitioner really needs to kind of have that first and foremost in their mind is that, this is something new and different for a family. Let's kind of get to know each other and let's make sure that we understand each other and then educate them and set expectations. Usually what I do, ARC of Somerset is one of the agencies I work for, and they provide us with a first visit checklist. So it's kind of like, what's our cancellation policy? When are we going to meet once a week? It's really like anything and everything that you would need addressed during a first visit. And I think that's great. Right off the bat, get to know each other, let them know the expectations and make a plan, like what's going to happen if X, Y, and Z. Let them know about common misconceptions and concerns regarding telehealth. Send them the information. I have a ton of research in this PowerPoint if anyone wants to share it with some of the service coordinators or with the families. It's like, you don't have to just take it from me. Here's the evidence that shows it really is working for a lot of states and a lot of early intervention providers. And here's the evidence for that. And then make a plan. Every time I get an IFSP, with goals, what does the family want? Sometimes I read them to the family and I said, is that something that you guys wanted? Is that what you talked about? And they're like, yes. And sometimes they're like, not really. So that's why it's so important for the goals to be written from the family's perspective and address what's important to them. This is, a family model. We want to make sure we're supporting them in whatever way we can that's developmentally appropriate. Next. Thank you. All right. So, what does a typical virtual session look like? I can't speak for everyone else, but I can speak for me. My approach is exactly the same as in person. I come on, I sing my song, as you guys heard before, and then we check in. What's new this week? What's different? What are you struggling with? What went really well? What do you feel like working on today to kind of reach the goals that we talked about? What activities, what's your child super into this week? Because you can tailor OT, DI goals, PT goals really into the child's interests and the family's routines and activities. So for 40 to 45 minutes, we do those routines, we do those activities that the child loves. And then really the last 10 to 15 minutes is we talk about what worked, what didn't work. What could you work on for this week? Usually I have some type of handout that I might send them via email that kind of talks about something that we worked on. So let's say we worked on some sign language. I might send them a handout with some sign language. Let's say we talked about, myths of bilingual language development. That's a big one I'm into. So let's say, their doctor said, don't speak Gujarati and English with your child, only English. I'll be like, that's wrong. And then I can send them a handout on that just kind of reiterates what we talked about so they can share it with the family and even with the doctor, just so that they stop spreading things like that. And like I said, we're bagless. EI, we are supposed to be bagless. So we are supposed to be using what the family has, and we're supposed to be kind of engaging and having fun with them. It's not about me and the child. It's about this what did they call it? It's a tripod, or the I remember from Pee-wee training or something. So we are a unit. The practitioner, the child, and the parent are all
Triad.
yep, the
Yeah,
triad. That's
parent and child are a dyad, and then we come in, we're in the triad. Yeah.
they're the dyad too, and we add to the triad. Very good. Thank you. That's why it's so important to use what the family has so that they build confidence, and virtual enables that because I'm not there to do it for you and then for the parent to watch. It's really me using props and things. I have a bunch of toys back here, and it's about connecting, playing together, figuring out what the child is into, and then kind of just supporting. We're support. Okay, next. All right. So without going into a ton of detail, here is just some session activity ideas. This is for the parents and for the therapist. This is obviously from, a speech therapist perspective of some of the things I like to do during sessions. I use a ton of routines. I've had families connect from the bath, diaper changes, brushing teeth, really anything. We've done laundry. I've done laundry with a family. That was fun. Unloading the dishwasher, no knives or anything glass or ceramic, only the plastic stuff or the stuff that, is not dangerous. Sensory and movement activities need to be incorporated into every EI session. Something that's going to get the kids moving, exploring through their senses, learning through their senses. It is so very important to make sure you incorporate that. Pretend play. One of my kids virtually was sick yesterday, so I had mom get some props from the bathroom, and we did some, I have a fever, all those things. We get Band-Aids from the bathroom, one of those ear thermometers, and you don't have to buy anything. You can just kind of make it work. Toys. The best toys are the toys that do nothing. Light up toys, sound toys, they take away from the interaction. If you need to give, children those toys when you got to brush your teeth or use the bathroom or take a shower, I'm all for it. My daughter loves the electronic 100 First Words books. But when I'm, engaging with her, I tend to use toys that don't have lights or sounds because I want her to interact with me. And that's usually what I tell parents too. It's like stay away from those electronic toys unless you're using it for when you need to get something done because it's better than screen time for sure. Music. As you guys know, I love to sing and I love music. So for my kiddos that love music, I try to teach parents about kazoos and whistles and banging on pots and pans and all the different ways that they can engage through their senses. Connecting from anywhere in the community. So I've had parents connect from the diner, the park, the library, grocery store. We put apples in the bag and talked about them. As long as the family is comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. And then it doesn't make the family feel like, oh, I can't do therapy today because I need to go grocery shopping, or we haven't eaten yet, or oh, we're supposed to see grandma today. How am I going to fit this all in? Take me with you. I can do all the things with you. And a lot of the times the parents don't realize how fun it is. It is really fun. And then if you're bored, get creative. There's websites like Busy Toddler. I learned about all different types of sensory activities, and you could do car washes and sensory bins, and it's all stuff that the family has in their house already. They don't have to buy anything. But if you're bored of, what you've been doing, just try some new ideas. I send a text and like, hey, it's Mother's Day coming up, or it's Christmas. Do you want to try one of these? And if they say yes, we do it. If they say no, we do something else. It's very flexible like that. Okay, next. Okay, so here are unfortunately, some issues that virtual practitioners can encounter and the families can encounter. So we kind of have to have a plan for that. If there's poor internet connection, screen is freezing, power outages, we need to have a backup. So sometimes you can use personal hotspot on your phone. Sometimes you can restart Zoom or your computer and try again, restart your Wi-Fi and try again. Look for updates. That's another issue. Or you can go somewhere that has better connection than at your house. Like I've had some families that connect from the library because the library's Wi-Fi is like way better than their house, and they go to the library a lot anyway. Too much background noise or distracting environment definitely needs to be addressed. You can do that in Zoom. You can use handy dandy headset, microphone, turn off the TV, avoid those electronic toys I told you I don't like. Choose a quiet location and try to limit people coming in and out and in and out and in and out. Here's a good one. The child associates the phone or tablet with videos and games and they fight for it. So I tell parents sometimes if the kids are getting really grabby, just put it out of reach. Put it out of reach. I can turn off my camera. You can put earbuds in. As long as I can connect with you while you connect with your child, that's the most important thing. I can coach you without anyone seeing me or hearing me. Technology literacy. Some families have a really hard time, especially signing the service verification log virtually. So what do I do about that? Well, I let them see the form. Here's what I put for this date. Sometimes I'll just try to send it to them, periodically throughout the month because they're having such a hard time signing it. Or I will say, like, just take a screenshot. So we have to troubleshoot, right? If they have trouble with technology, we have to provide instructions, hands-on experience. Like I can share my screen and have them sign from my screen. There's always a solution. It just might take a little bit of time, but we have to be patient. Just like we are with our kids, we have to be patient with our parents as well. Device isn't charged. Send a reminder to charge it before. I can't sit all day. I have a bad back. Anyone else have a bad back? I'm standing right now. I have a sit to stand desk. So that was a huge thing that made my job easier when the pandemic started, is like, if I want to sit down, I can sit down. If I want to stand up, I can stand up. And that's really makes it a lot better for the practitioners too. Family having difficulty demonstrating a strategy. Here's my prop. And I might say, okay, we're going to burp the baby now. Pat, pat, pat. Ew. So if I so if I have a prop to demonstrate and then guide the parent with using the strategy, it makes it a lot easier. And that's also why I have a ton of stuff here too. So, let's say, oh, baby's gonna eat some French fries. Ouch! They're hot. Baby, blow. All right, let's eat. Mmm, yummy, yummy. So I can teach the parent how to be silly and how to use those sounds, and OTs, PTs, and DIs can kind of tailor that to their areas as well. All right, next slide. Okay, and without going into a lot of detail, this is more just to have at your fingertips. But basically, what research is showing is that it's a great solution to not being able to have in-person services. A lot of studies are showing that for neurodevelopmental conditions, the coaching delivered through telehealth, it improves the child participation and the parents' ability to feel confident and that they can do it. So it's super acceptable to many of the families that try. You'll hear from some of my families today. And research is showing that it's very effective. It's high quality services. In person and virtual, kids demonstrated the same level of progress. And for some disciplines, speech therapy, it even showed that virtual services led to better gains. Yep, we can do next. Okay, so what do we have to think about for the future, guys? Well, first of all, this is just me on my high horse. We have to start having, accountability for both the practitioners and the parents. Time connection, we can use other methods to supplement in case there ever is an issue. Um, Discipline specific training would be so important for the future. Not everyone knows how to deliver virtual speech therapy, sessions like I do. So that's why I want to make sure, like, I can't really speak from the perspective of a physical therapist or from an occupational therapist. So having some training, I think, would be great, for having more success. So everyone is kind of doing it the same way. Service coordinators, you guys could make a huge difference. And that's why I'm so glad to see some of you here today, because you're at, the front. You get to see the parents even before, any of the practitioners do. So if knowledge is power, if you're able to kind of explain to them what research is showing and the potential benefits of this, and please don't wait, like, just try it, we'll make it worth your while, that can make a huge impact too. And then the lending library, that's something that some counties are still using, which is a great way to kind of borrow tablets. And lending libraries are in certain counties, and you can really look at, parents can look into that and see, if you don't have a tablet or something to use, you can try to see if your county has that lending library available. Okay, next. All right. So in conclusion, teletherapy, it works. Research supports that it works. For all disciplines, equal progress. For speech therapy, sometimes virtual leads to better gains, and we don't really 100% know why. Maybe it's because we don't have to address like muscles and movement and things like that as much as other disciplines, but just in general, the progress is showing to be equal. Don't wait. Children, remember that parents and caregivers are the child's best and first teacher. We need to respect that. I am not here to work one-on-one with your child. I'm here to work with you guys as a family. Increased accessibility, convenience, makes everything, parents are more involved in the process when it's virtual versus in person. And it's a very powerful tool, and we need to use it more. Discipline specific training is definitely needed. And service coordinators could really help with this, because they're the first person who kind of gets to see and talk to the family about it if no provider is available. Okay. And here's some references and resources. I put some of the articles. I put some of like Busy Toddler, if anyone wants to check out Busy Toddler. Yeah, these are all the articles, yep, and some references. And now it is time for Q&A, the moment we've all been waiting for. So I have some of my rockstar virtual and hybrid parents here. Obviously, speak as much or as little as you'd like. You could put it in the chat. You can unmute, request to be unmuted, and we can unmute you and just share your experience, what worked for you, anything you would change. And people, please feel free to ask questions. That's why we're here.